Good afternoon.
No se veía la pantalla. Bueno, como han presentado de manera excelente.
Well, as it was said, well, first of all, I would like to thank Infibe for the invitation. But as it was said, I'm going to talk about online frauds. I'm going to explain some real cases. Of course, I'm not going to give information about real companies, but I'm going to explain real cases about fraud, phishing, and then we're going to see what the bad guys do with the data that they obtain. Well, I've been introduced already, but I'm a cybersecurity employee in Deloitte. I'm an expert in fraud, and I'm starting to collaborate with Derecho de la Red and GINSEC. Well, before starting, I would like to ask you some questions in order for you to reflect upon this issue a little bit. For example, how many of you use two-step verification? Okay, great. How many of you do not have the same password for all your accounts? Okay, great. This is best than what I thought. This is better than what I thought, but of course we are here in a cybersecurity event. Maybe this is not the same thing for everyone. And how many of you change your passwords frequently? Okay, not that many people. We are going to see, as I was saying, the main common frauds that we may find and what the bad guys want regardless of the fraud. Bad guys are always going to try to look for things about you. They want to gain your trust in order to obtain your account numbers, your data, and in the end your money, because this is a business in the end that moves a lot of money. So there is phishing of people or brands. There are criminals that pretend to be a company, for example, and that say that they are hiring, or they are going to pretend to be a brand that is doing a campaign on whatever. And they are going to say, okay, we are going to have this product sold by a cheaper price, and this is where the fraud starts. There may be also some criminals pretending to be public organizations, such as the tax agency, in order to do phishing or to introduce malware. They usually use a text and a link, and we have to be very careful, because with the social security there was a fraud, and there was a text that was being sent with a lot of typos, and people started saying that it was phishing, but in the end it was a real email, it was a real text. Also, we have this type of fraud related to attached documents that usually have malware or phishing. So this will be related to a link that will end up in phishing. Also, kidnap profiles are something common too. These are criminals that are stealing accounts, or that say that have access to accounts, and then from that point and from that moment on, they say, okay, if you don't want me to do anything with your account, you have to give me the money. You can do it or not. But maybe sometimes this is not real, and they don't even have your account. They've obtained your password through a file with that contains many passwords, and it's not just that they have your passwords, it is that their passwords has been leaked, and it may be obtained by anyone.
Phishing is the top number one because it is the most frequent one, and even if everybody is familiar with it, there is always somebody who is going to fall into that trick. What do the bad guys do with this? Let's say they have a lot of free time, they are bored, and then they do whatever they want. Here you can see a list of users and passwords. Maybe that list is useless, And sometimes they just do it in order to gain some kind of reputation among other bad guys. So they say, look, thanks to this phishing, I obtained 1,000 passwords. How many can you obtain? We will also see how they sell Netflix users, cards, and so on. I don't know if you can read it, but on the right part, it says that they are selling a month of Netflix at 2 euros and 3 months for 7 euros, following a certain set of rules. You cannot share it, you cannot change the access data, and you cannot change the language or the region. Then you can pay through PayPal, Bitcoins, or CSGO keys. Here, Spotify accounts. When premium accounts have expired, they publish them, and then they include the name, and everybody knows they had access to those accounts. As you can see, they are from May 2019. Let's see other more intense phishings, because I think they are the most important attacks. This is a content recovered from a real case, a phishing real case. It extracts the email, the password, the IP address, and the name. In this case, it was a person named Mari Carmen. Data were real. The entity affected was informed that these data were here and they solved it. Also, there are some people who do not fall into the trick and share this kind of things. As you can see, I am going to go after you, it says. We also have very elaborated phishings in this case. I don't know if you can see it. It says microsoftonline.com, and then the real domain is on the right part, which is a vulnerated domain. And people, when see the log, they think it's something legitimate. However, it takes you just 5 minutes to add that log. So let's see some other phishing cases that I have here. So let's see first these massive mails. They are all written in English, and they say, warning, you are suspect of having committed a crime. The email comes from the police, and some other weird stuff to fool you. And you could send this through email. We also have another case here, Spotify, for example. It says, your account has been disabled. You need to access immediately to change your password. So in the end, it leads you to a phishing case of Spotify. These are not very sophisticated, but there are more elaborated ones. This is from Dropbox. It says you have been sent a new shared folder and you have to click on the link. Here we have another email, and here we're going to see a real phishing case. This is a phishing by Gmail. As you can see, it is exactly the same. So you are here, you enter your account, for example, this one, and your password. Obviously, in order to be here, we would have clicked on any link that they would have sent us. Once you enter your credentials, it takes you to the legitimate account. But then you see the domain and you think, okay, no, it was the real one. But it is not the official one. And if we want to go backwards, you can't. Because it's all a lie. Because if you delete this part, you see it again. And here, in this phishing case, in a login.txt file that we could discover includes all the victims of this phishing. We have the CyberCamp and the current CyberCamp. That way we could recover the users to inform the company about the loss of data. I also have another one from Outlook, which is very elaborated on the outside because it really looks like the official one, but it is not that elaborated. You will see why. You enter anything and it doesn't work, so it makes it more credible. If we added at gmail.com and it worked. So if you think that's sufficient, that's what you have to do. So let's try to see if it connects. I translated it myself, so I'm sorry for that. But it leads us to here. And then here it says that we need to add banking accounts, so we would enter the number of card, the name, CyberCamp in this case, the date that we can make up because it doesn't have any check-in system, and the code 000, and we confirm. And in the end, it leads us to the legitimate website. But as the previous case, it has saved the data in a file. Oops. Here you have them. This only saves the last file, so it's quite useless. It doesn't store all the data. And we also have another case, a miscellaneous of cases. This is the bad guys. In order for them to know who checked that phishing, they control the IP addresses with the time they entered. So if the same IP address enters twice, they can think, okay, so if my phishing was blocked at 4 p.m., and the second time this user entered the phishing, it means that this person blocked it. So the next time I'm doing a phishing, I won't send it to this person, to this IP address. Then this is the credentials phishing, which is very similar to the one that we saw earlier and saves all your data. For you to have an idea, it asks you the username, password, it extracts the IP address information, it asks you e-signature, your credit card, the expiration date, the code, so the CVV, and the PIN code. So it extracts absolutely everything, and it says two-step verification, so that when you receive the SMS, you think, oh yeah, I did this payment through my bank application, but you didn't. And this works in the same way. I wanted to add this one because I found it quite funny to see a Spanish entity to have this kind of phishing. However, we have IP addresses from Nepal, China, Morocco, Lithuania. In a vulnerated server, they uploaded the kit. After it, they upload a zip, then they open it, and you have it there. And if the servers is not well set up, you can see all the files that it contains. Otherwise, we won't be able to see absolutely anything. I think I have spoken too fast. So I just want to tell you that you need to be careful because phishings are still happening. It is even more complicated because they are using new techniques and they can extract absolutely everything. They use user IN, and I don't know what else to say. People are still falling into these tricks. So it is true that we are raising awareness. There are people who are claiming something is phishing, and sometimes, and even with that, people fall into that. So you're here, you're interested in this, you like cybersecurity because you're here, but maybe there are people who are not familiar with this field, and you can encourage them to get to know it. Maybe your grandparents are not familiar with that and could fall into a phishing case because if they think their bank account has been blocked, they access it and then they fall into the trick. We have seen some recovered information of people who fell into a trick once, and then they used another account in order to see if that was real or not. So with two different accounts, they fell into the same phishing trick. As for the domain, the same. They can buy a domain which is almost exactly the same as the company domain. So if you read it fast, you don't see the typo and you think it is the official one, but it's not. Another thing that happens is that people buy a Google ad, although they are usually deactivated quite fast, and then you click on it, and it is not your bank account, the one that you were looking for. As for passwords, if they are useless for them, they leak them, and then you find some collections of passwords or of 1.2 billion passwords. That's why you need to change passwords. I know you don't want to because it's lame to do it, but if you change it frequently, you will have no problem. I don't even know my passwords because I have access to my applications through my smartphone. However, if I want to use my laptop to use my Gmail account, I do not know how to access my Gmail from another device. If 5 minutes of a tedious task is only 5 minutes, it is not as much. So I just wanted to offer you my contribution, and if you follow my recommendation, I will be glad. If you don't, I won't care. Nothing will happen, but it is good to raise awareness, but it is not reaching all the population. So if you have access to elderly people, obviously they are not going to come to CyberCamp, but maybe you can send them a video for them to watch it in their new smartphone. So that's all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Luis. I don't know if anyone has a question for Luis. Oh, no? Thank you very much for your presentation. I think Deloitte rings a bell as a consultancy firm, but also as a master in cybersecurity. So I guess Deloitte has very talented people, right? Thank you very much. Is there any more questions? Oh yeah, there is one more over there. Good afternoon. My name is Jesus. I would like to say why are you highlighting phishing when it is being discarded and now phishing with V is more used? Phishing is made through voice calls. So we're moving from phishing to phishing. So why aren't you informing more about phishing? Because it is more frequent. Yes, phishing is increasingly used. The other day I received a call from Microsoft and I think it was a phishing. It is true that they can try to trick you through a voice call instead of email, but I do not think phishing is that eradicated. There are several cases of phishing every day against a same entity, and we see that they are more and more sophisticated, and there are many of them. There are some servers which upload the kit, and there are others which upload phishing in a Russian server for a very long time, and it is impossible to stop them because they are based in Russia and it is more difficult to contact them. Phishing is happening, that's true, but there are not as many cases so far. Maybe in the future it will be the top one fraud, online fraud, but not so far.